Hello everybody, we are going to be talking about something really important when you're doing a scientific experiment. Some vocabulary, constants, controls, and variables. So why are controls necessary in an experiment? We're going to be talking about that as we go along. When we're doing an experiment, we only want to test for one thing at a time. If we test more than one thing, it becomes too confusing. When we only test for one thing at a time, we call it a controlled experiment. Other words you need to know: constants, control, and variables. Constants are what stay the same throughout a whole experiment. Your control is what we use to compare our other trials to, and your variables are what change. Suppose we want to test how much salt water we need to add to water to make a piece of potato float. We know that the more salty water is, the more things will float. In this experiment, the only thing we want to change between the trials is the amount of salt. The amount of water should stay the same, the temperature of the water should stay the same, and everything should stay the same. The Dead Sea is so salty that everyone floats on top of the water, and that's what this is a picture of. Okay, in this experiment, we'll have 4 containers of water. The first container will contain no salt. The second container will be a 5% salt solution. Third will be a 10% salt solution. And the fourth will be a 20% salt solution. What are the constants in this experiment? What do you think? What shouldn't change? So first you have to think, what are the materials we're using? We got water, we got the beaker, we got salt, we got temperature. So when you're thinking about that, the beaker, the amount of water, the temperature of the water, and the size of the potato should all stay the same. The beaker, which beaker would be the control then that you would compare everything to? That's going to be the one with no salt. We will compare other trials back to this trial. What is our variable in the experiment? What are we changing? The amount of salt in the beaker. Okay? So now, let's look at this. Let's think about the vocabulary we just learned. And we're going to learn a little more. There are 2 types of variables, independent and dependent. The independent variable is what you change as the scientist. The dependent variable is the result of what you changed, the data that you collect, the things that you measure. The dependent variable depends on the independent variable. So think of the independent and dependent variables as a cause and effect relationship. Independent, what you change, is the cause. The dependent is what happens, or the effect. In our experiment, what was the independent variable? What was the thing that the scientist or you changed? Which was the amount of salt. In our experiment, what was the dependent variable? What did we measure? We measured if the potato floats or not. Okay, and our results. Compare your variable to your control. The more salt in the water, the more the potato will float. Okay, so this you can see, no salt. It's at the bottom. The dots represent salt. The more salt you have, the more the potato will float. Okay, let's practice. We're going to go through a couple scenarios now, and you are just going to practice identifying the independent, dependent variable and the control. Okay, so let's say Bobby has been finding a lot of crickets around his house. He has been spraying Raid around his house, but still notices some crickets. His friends tell him that the Ortho spray works better than Raid. Bobby decides to spray half of his house with Raid and the other half with Ortho to see which one works better. So he is conducting an experiment on those crickets. You might hear some of those in our building. They're pretty loud. What is the control? We left it the same and used it for comparison. So what did he spray with the first time that he would leave the same? The half of the house was sprayed with Raid because that's what he used last time. So what would the independent variable change? What did he change to compare? And that was he used Ortho spray. Okay, so he used the orthospray on the other half. What is the dependent variable? What will he be measuring? He wants to measure the amount of dead crickets to see which one works better. Okay, so that's the independent, dependent, and the control variable. More practice. Okay, so let's look at a couple more examples here. Erin wants to test how much she can shake a soda can before it sprays all over herself. You know, just one spray more. She has 3 cans, leaves one alone, shakes one for 2 seconds, shakes 3 for 4 seconds. So let's see, what's the control? Which one is she going to compare her experimental to? Well, the can that's not shaken. What is the independent variable? What did she change? The amount of time the can is shaken. And what is she measuring? What's the dependent variable? The amount of soda sprayed. Okay, I hope you're starting to get the hang of this. You're going to have an exit ticket at the very end that you need to ask for. We're going to practice one more time before you get your exit ticket. Okay, you decide to clean the bathroom. You notice the shower is covered in a strange black mold. You spray half the shower with water and the other half with vinegar. After 3 days of spraying, there's no change in the appearance of mold on either side. Okay, so what was the control? The side of the shower sprayed with water. What was the independent variable? The side of the shower sprayed with vinegar. And the dependent variable, what was measured? The amount of mold. Okay, so I want you to think, how are you feeling about this? We're not going to do these ones. I could teach it pretty good. I'm getting there. I need more practice, help. So I really want you, when you get the exit ticket, please make sure you also answer the questions at the bottom to let me know how you're feeling about these terms and definitions and using them in an experiment.